I'm starting with some Primo Sculpey accents, and this is Graphite Pearl, and I have rolled it to a 3 on my Atlas machine, and I'm going to only use half right now, so I'm going to cut it in half. And I'm using one of the deco discs that came with the Botanical Beauty CreateAlong Box this month. This set is called Floral, and there are 3 of them, and they're really pretty. There's a wreath and this pretty leafy branch, and then this sort of seed pod branch. This is the one I'm going to use for this project. When you use a deco disc, you want to use a release agent. Now you can use cornstarch, or you can use mica powder, like the powder that's come in the kit this month, or you can use Armor All. Some of our artists use that. I prefer to use just plain water. So I'm going to wet my disc. And this is how I transfer my image. I'm just going to press firmly. Make sure I get into all of those areas with details. All right, let's see what we've got here. Beautiful. Now that is really pretty, a great design. I want to add just a little bit of shimmer to the top of it, and to do that I'm going to use the mica powder that came in the kit. It's sort of a pretty shimmery pale green. It's a beautiful color. Let's see what color it is. Just says sparkling mica powder, okay. Now you can use your fingertip, or you can use an applicator to apply your mica powder. CreateAlong also carries these applicators. Let's try it with my fingertip, just to see. When I use my fingertip, I tend to get more on the around it, but I think I kind of like that effect actually, so I'm going to continue with my fingertip. Sort of a shimmering shadow around the image. All right. Now I do like to set my mica powder in place, and how I do that is just take some plastic wrap or a piece of parchment and just kind of press down without ruining the image, but it sets that mica a little bit. I'm going to set this aside for now, and then I'm going to create the second half of the pendant. This is just some scrap green Primo that I have just mixed together and rolled to a 3 on the Atlas also. And I'm going to use the same mica powder. And I'm just going to rub it over the surface to give it a little shimmer. I'm going to really rub it in because I want it to stay put. And now I'm going to silkscreen. I love the silkscreen that came this month in the Botanical Beauty box. This is called Greenery. And you want to place it with the shiny or the darker side, if your screen is not shiny, down towards the clay sheet. I like to roll it in place just to sort of make sure that it's going to stay put. And I'm silk screening with some metallic paint. This is Dazzling Metallic Black Pearl. It sort of matches that Graphite Pearl Primo pretty well. Beautiful. All right, I'm going to wash this right away so that it doesn't dry in the screen, and I'm going to let the paint dry on the surface of the clay. And you got the shimmer from the mica powder and a little bit of shimmer from the metallic charcoal black paint. Really pretty. All right, now the pendant I'm going to be making is actually going to be round, I believe. Let me look at my cutters and decide. All right, yeah, I think round is going to work best for what I'm trying to do here. Now, this is just the size that I'm choosing, and I want to, it's going to be a double side, two sides, two halves, sort of the pendant. So I'm going to cut the textured image close to the outer edge. And then I need to cut the same sort of image from the silk screened clay. And I'm going to trim this a little closer to the image. Try to do it as straight as I can. Okay, I'm going to place that on top. Now there is a gap on this side, but I'm going to fill that in a minute. You want to line up your edges. Remove the Chloe the studio cat hair. Whatever studio pet you might have, feather or fur. All right, now because of the edge of the deco disc, you can see that there's a little rough edge here where it's not quite smooth. I'm actually going to, I believe, cut that out. And I think I'll do the same maybe at the top. Maybe a little less deep. We'll sort of make it a design detail. I guess it looks a little like the Batman symbol now, but I'm okay with that. Okay, now we have some. This is fantasy fiber, and this is heat bondable. You can bake it with your clay, or you can use an iron to bond it to fabric and other things like that. But I'm going to just take a bit of it and use it to sort of border. I think maybe I'm going to put a little clear there. This is just clear liquid Sculpey, and I'm going to put just a touch. In fact, I'm going to use the end of my applicator to put it on. I'm going to give it a little twist. All right. Now, I'm going to bake it as it is now, and then I'll move to the next step. All right, the pendant's been baked. Now, I'm not really happy with how the liquid clay sort of muted the colors of the fibers, so I think I'm going to go a different route with this, and I'm just going to go ahead and take these off. Sometimes things just don't work out the way you planned, and that's okay. There's no wrong in art, there's just ways to do things differently. So we're going to do it differently. I'm going to roll the rest of my graphite pearl, and I'm going to texture the back of it, and I'm going to use the rubber stamp that came in this month's box. This is called, let me see if it's got a name on it. There it is. Rainbows Over the Moon. And I'm going to texture a piece of the graphite pearl with the stamp. And then I'm going to cut a piece, use my craft knife, and just cut around it because I want to create a backing for the pendant. So instead of using the liquid Sculpey to hold those fibers in place, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some, you can use Bacon Bond clay adhesive, or I'm just going to use my clear liquid clay. And I'm going to take some of these fibers, gather them together, and I'm just going to wrap them around that dividing line where I want them to be. And I'm actually going to sort of tie them in place back here so that they'll sort of stay where I want them to be. This back will hold those fibers in place where I want them without muddying them up at all on the front. Smooth your edges. And I think what I'm going to actually do at this point, I've got these large oversized gunmetal jump rings. I think I'm going to go ahead and insert one behind it to suspend the pendant from once it's baked. Okay, now I'm going to bake this again, and then I can trim off these excesses. I'm Cindi McGee, and I hope you enjoyed this project made with items from the Botanical Beauty CreateAlong Box. Remember to share your projects in our CreateAlong Polymer Clay Tribe Facebook group.